Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review, and next up is the Hasbro Star Wars The Black Series Target exclusive, the Mandalorian DIN Djarin, and the Child. Spoiler alert if you have not seen the new... You know what? I won't even get into it. But we do know the name of the Child, so I'll leave it at that. So side artwork, there you can see the Mandalorian holding onto the Child. So that looks really good. Here on the back of the package, we get a look at that same side artwork from the side. The bio reads, "The Mandalorian is battle-worn and tight-lipped, a formidable bounty hunter in an increasingly dangerous galaxy who finds a mysterious alien pursued by bounty hunters on behalf of Imperial interests." That's actually a pretty decent bio for it. But this is that build-up pack. So pretty awesome stuff. We got the pram. We have 5 pieces of the Beskar metal. We get the tracker for the Child. We have the handgun. We get that long rifle. And then we also have his jetpack, which, what did they call it? Was it a Phoenix? Something like that. And then we get a new Baby Yoda, the Child. That is not the same as the previously released Black Series. That is, in fact, a different figure altogether. This is the original release, not the running change with the different color collar and cuffs. So this one is not articulated except for the head. So whereas this one had actually articulated arms, that one does not. Which I know people are saying, well, this is a $35 pack, so why is it that you're paying $15 more for the Baby Yoda? I guess it's because of all the accessories. Is it still a little overpriced, especially because the Child isn't even articulated? Sure, but I don't know, whatever. So let's get to it. I actually have some of the Mandalorian figures, so let's kind of piece some of this together to see how that side panel looks. Well, there it is so far. I don't actually have the regular Stormtrooper. That's number 2. That would actually go in between the Incinerator Trooper and the Beskar Armor Mandalorian, so I can't show you the full image. And then number 6 will actually pick up with Grief Karga. And then the Remnant Stormtrooper, that is also a Target exclusive, is actually number 9. So he will then come out, you know, way over here after Queel and all those other figures that are coming out. So at least these 3 you can kind of see how it is, because his arm was actually shown on the Armorer's side artwork. So there's the side panel. I really like that Star Wars is doing something like this. The black and red boxes were pretty plain. Not that the side artwork is ever that big of a deal, but it does kind of highlight and make the packaging look a little bit cool, look a little bit more attractive on the pegs and the shelves. You know, for the casual buyer, you know, that might first hook them and grab their attention. So I like it. I'm all for it. Okay, so here is the Din Djarin Mandalorian figure out of the package. So here we have a clear look at all of the accessories that comes in this build-up pack. So there's some really cool things here. So we have the tracking fob, which is a really nice touch. But man, this thing is just absolutely tiny. So let's zoom in. So looking at the tracking fob, it's nice. We get some black paint on there and a little red dot. But man, it's just so small. I'm really scared that I'm going to lose this. This may end up in a lot of people's vacuums. It's just tiny. But it's really cool that we get that tracking fob. Like, it's such a small accessory. I didn't think that they would even do, because, you know, choking hazard, or they were going to want people to have it. So definitely a nice touch. We get 5 of these Beskar metal bricks, or whatever they refer to them as, or Beskar bars, I guess. You know, a metal bar, like a gold bar. So looking at it, we get a nice wavy detail in there, something that was actually in the show of how it looked, with the little Imperial stamp right there in that corner. It's punched in. We get 5 of these. These are tiny as well. So texture on the back. So these are going to be easily lost. Like, I'm trying to stack them, and then they just kind of fall. They slip off of each other. So you could do some things, but we get 5 of these, so those are going to be really scary. I'm scared that they're just everyone's gonna lose them because they're just so small. Here we have his handgun, his hand blaster, and that's done nicely in some silver paint. We get brown for the handle there. That looks good. Here we have the rifle, and this looks to be the same as the ones that we got even in the previous original Mandalorian figure. That's the only one that I've reviewed out of them. It's going to port in the back shoulder, kind of the same as before, but we get this nice silver end here. We get some black for the scope and the barrel. Here, more silver paint, and then brown for the handle. That looks good. Here we have his jetpack. One thing with his jetpack, it is a dark gray. I wish it would have been the same as his Beskar armor, because it really should be the same color as that. So I think what Hasbro is going to do is they're going to eventually release another damn Mandalorian figure where this is going to be painted silver to match his Beskar armor. I guarantee that's coming. It would not surprise me. But the sculpt of it does look nice, so I like that. It does not stand on its own though, like it did on one of those episodes. That would have been really cool if you could get it to stand on its own, but it just falls right on back. Here we have his removable helmet, and that looks pretty good, just like the regular figure, but of course this is going to be a little bit bigger than the regular one, and I'll show kind of a side-by-side of that a little bit later on, because this is a very snug fit over his head, but they didn't undersize the head to make it not look right, so this one is going to be a little bit bigger, but I think it does look nicely. Here we have the child's pram, or whatever it's called. The carrier. One thing that I'm a little unsure of is the color. Like, did he get an upgraded one that I just didn't realize? Because we know it gets damaged in, you know, whatever episode number that was, whatever chapter that was, but I thought it was more of a white color and had like some scratches and dings and scuffs on the paint and stuff, whereas this one's kind of a gray color with some gold paint. I just don't remember it looking like that. Unless I'm wrong, you guys let me know down in the comments below. So it just seems kind of weird, but it's pretty cool. We get this clear stand, and that just ports on the bottom there. There's a little peg hole. It just goes in there like so. That is pretty cool. And then you can open this up, so you just remove it like so. And here we have the inside of the pram. So there's actually some painted details in there. So there's like a copper color paint. Let me see if I can get a good light in there. See that on the inside? We actually get some copper paint, some black for the padding that's in there. So it is a really nice touch. So pretty cool. And you can see it pegs back in together. So it's not real loose or anything like that. You can get it, you can close it right back up. This other one does not open, and I don't feel like forcing it because it might break. So I think it's just a half open there. And so to close it back up, you get this little part there. You put that in front, and then you close it down below. It doesn't snap into place or anything like that, but that is how it goes. And just so you guys could see, the child can sit right on in there, or of course you can lay him down, which I think is going to be the best way, because if you're going to want the pram closed, you can kind of fudge it, because if it's closed, you don't really need to have him in there. But not a whole lot you can actually do with this particular version of the child. So last but not least, in terms of accessories, because I don't know that I would consider this a figure, because again, no articulated arms. His arms are sculpted like that. The hands might be separate piece. I don't know if they move. Okay, so the hands are articulated. You get a swivel at the wrist. The head. Ooh, the head doesn't even really move. We get a swivel on the head, and it goes back. It's on a ball joint, so you get a little bit of movement, and he's cute. He's a cute little guy. Not a whole lot going on under there, but check that out. We got some painted feet on there, so that is pretty cool. I think the other one actually had sculpted feet, the Black Series figure, whereas this one just gets some painted little nubs on the bottom of there. So that is actually pretty cool. I like the way that looks, but again, it is not the same as the Black Series, the child figure. And then next up is the DIN Djarin head sculpt. So here it is. Do you guys think that looks like Pedro Pascal? I see the resemblance. Yes, his cheeks are very wide, and his cheeks in real life are not that wide. They should have gone a little bit more narrow, thinned it out a little bit. He does look chubby, but I do think the likeness is there. We actually get a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow, a little bit of a mustache in there. No, it's kind of hard to see, but it is there. I know people don't like the hair. The problem is we've only seen his face one time, and that's when he was hurt badly. He had a head injury. He was bleeding everywhere, and he was laying down. He looked very bloated in that particular scene. That's what this head sculpt is based on. Now, we don't see the battle damage. We don't see the blood, the scars, and everything like that. I'm sure a customizer out there will actually apply some paint and kind of give it that look. I think if you put up some blood on it, you know, if his hair was a little bit more messed up, it would look just like that scene from the season finale of season 1. And that's the look that they were going for. So I think the head sculpt is actually really good for what it's supposed to represent. But I mean, you guys let me know down in the comments below what you think. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already told me your thoughts on there. I posted a few things, but I do think it looks pretty good. One thing that is funny is he's got a mega flat nose, and I think that's going to be because this helmet is a very tight fit. Like, you kind of have to force it on there to make it fit, and then because of that, some of his neckline and chin can kind of get exposed. Certain angles it won't really be a problem, but that's kind of what's going on. And then you could kind of force it on a little bit, but again, it is a very, very tight fit. Like, you gotta like yank it off to get it to remove. So because of that, flat ass nose. But I think his nose isn't real pointy or anything either, but it is flat, just a fair warning. But the rest of the figure looks really good. It is the exact same as the Beskar armor figure, so there is no change whatsoever from that, except we get the unhelmeted head. So that is the only difference. So we'll quickly go through the articulation for those that may not be aware. So here we go. Okay, so Din Djarin's articulation, his neck is similar to like the G.I. Joe Classified series. So the head is independent of the neck. So the neck has its own range of motion. It's on a ball joint, so you get a lot of circular motion, so you can move it to the side and whatnot. The head, actually with that neck, is actually swiveling also. Let's see, let's pull the helmet off. Let's see if the head's got a little bit of movement going on in there, independent of that neck piece. So to look down, you're actually going to have to use the neck, so not the head on there itself, which is unfortunate. So it doesn't look like there's a hinge, but you can look up that much, which really isn't a whole lot, but you get all kinds of pivot going on in there. The shoulder, I'm going to take this cape off. That just kind of gets in the way. I think we could better see the articulation without it. So the shoulder, you can work that shoulder armor, that pauldron, over his torso, so you can get it to go out that much. You get a full rotation in there. Of course, there is a little bit of a butterfly joint, not a whole lot, so you can move it only that much. Going back is a little bit more, but going forward, not really a whole lot. You get a swivel at the elbow and only a single jointed elbow, so it only gives you 90 degrees at the elbow. Wrists swivel and they do hinge. So here we have the horizontal hinge on the right, on the left, excuse me, his right, he has the vertical hinge. Like so. We have a diaphragm joint, so he can pivot to his left that much. He can pivot to his right that much. He can go back a little bit. He can come forward only a little bit, really not a whole lot. And you get the swivel actually in that diaphragm joint, because there is no waist swivel on the figure. Legs go out that far apart. He can kick forward that much, and you can kind of give it around. So not a whole lot, but you can get it up there. We have an upper thigh cut. You get a double jointed knee like so. No boot swivel, but you get a foot that hinges all the way down. You get some hinge up, ankle pivot, and you do have ankle peg holes at the bottom of the feet. So decent articulation, but again, this is the same exact figure. The only difference, the only change is that Din Djarin Pedro Pascal head sculpt, which I think is really good. I think it's one of those things where you have to have it in hand to truly appreciate how it looks. So for you guys that are not liking it, if you end up getting it, because I know a lot of you guys probably won't then at that point, but if you do, I am curious to know what you guys think, actually having it and seeing it in hand, your thoughts on it. You guys let me know in the comments below. Okay, so here's a close-up comparison of the Black Series Baby Yoda the Child with this new one in this release. So a couple of different changes. Of course, it does not have an articulated body. The wrists do swivel. The head is the same, so it kind of moves on a ball joint. One of the differences in the paint applications of the two figures is in the hair. We actually get hair on this Baby Yoda. So you can see there's actually some white paint on top of the head to show the little bit of hair that he has, whereas this Black Series one did not, unless the running change ever did. I never got that running change to show the two-tone collar like this new one. And then the eyes, where we get black and brown eyes, this one does have a little bit of white in the outside edges of the eyes, and I'm not going to really be able to get in too much closer than that to show you guys. So there is the difference between the two. Basically the same. size, whereas this one, you know, has the feet, which elevates him a little bit. This one, you know, he's just right there on his clothes, but they do look pretty good. I do think the articulated one is better because, again, it's articulated, so it makes more sense. Okay, so here is the side-by-side comparison of the two Mandalorian figures, and they are 100% the exact same. Like, I can't find any difference in paint variation or anything like that between these two figures. So they are the exact same. But can you tell which is which? Which one is the build-up? Which one is the regular release? I'm going to give you guys a second. Is this one the regular release or the build-up? Is this one the regular release or the build-up? I think that's enough time. So I'll show you. This one is actually the build-up. So if I were to have the head, you could see his neck actually exposed like so. But if you have it looking down, you can't really tell. And for the most part, they are basically the same color, which is a little bit surprising for one reason, is because this one's, you know, a hard plastic. This one is a softer plastic, not quite a rubber. It's not really that soft. It's kind of hard. Now, I don't have a Jango Fett figure to see if it's kind of a similar feel to it. I would imagine that it's probably pretty similar, but you guys let me know down in the comments below, like that Jango Fett helmet, does that fit tightly over the head? I'm curious, you guys let me know, but you can see it. This one is a little bit wider. Not by much, but only a little bit. It might be a little bit shinier, but basically the same color. Looking all around, you can't really tell a whole lot, but looking at the back, you do see some of his hair exposed, where on the regular release, you would not see anything, but you could tell the helmet is just a little bit larger, but not a whole lot. So there we go. Again, same figure. So I know a lot of people are going to end up passing on it. You know, they don't need another Baby Yoda, the child. They don't need another Mandalorian figure. He doesn't even take the damn helmet off in the entire series. So far, nothing in Season 2, except he lifts it up a little bit to drink. And then in for the short few minutes in Season 1, at the last episode of Season 1. So, you know, it doesn't necessarily make sense to actually have his face being shown. But I think it's a nice touch to get it. So I know some folks, you know, that are into photography, they're going to be able to have that option to actually show him without the helmet on. Maybe they recreate that scene with IG-11, but, you know, could be one of those things. Okay, so my final thoughts on this build-up Target exclusive pack. I'm very pleased with it. I know a lot of folks are probably thinking it's a waste of money, a money grab by Hasbro. This is nothing new. This is what Hasbro does. I think, you know, having that expectation or thinking that they wouldn't do things like this, you got to get that out of your head. Hasbro will always do things like this. I don't mind buying another one because I like the Djarin head sculpt. I think the pram with the Baby Yoda, the Beskar pieces, the tracking fob, all of that is actually really cool, and I'm very, very happy to have it. So I don't mind it, but I am curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. Try to stay away from what you think the face sculpt looks like, even though I know that's the big highlight of this pack, but you guys have all told me quite a bit on Instagram. But you guys let me know overall, is this something that you're going to be picking it up? I am curious. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. And as always, thank you for watching.